Hello, I'm Jean-Pierre Simard, your INOGENI trainer, and today I'm presenting the SHARE2U. The device is very easy to use. It allows you to mix two video sources into a single stream, and all this to enable you to change cameras by pressing a button on the device or on a control pad that can be controlled by RS-232 via video conferencing systems such as Crestron, Poly, or many others. So the really easy thing about this device is that you can change cameras at the touch of a button, allowing you to have a real mix without interrupting the conversation, because while you're talking, you can switch to the main presenter or to the audience or to an object, and then back to the main camera, all while you're still talking. It doesn't cut off the flow of conversation. The transitions are really smooth. It's really useful for universities, colleges, and companies that have several cameras because they want to cover the different points of view during a presentation. So I'll let you listen to a quick video, and I'll see you back here in just a few moments. As you've just seen, SHARE2U is easy to use. Why? Because interoperability is essential to us. We work with manufacturers to ensure that each device is natively compatible so that devices can recognize cameras and conference systems. INOGENI's devices are often found between cameras for conversion, or mixers and switchers for communication with room PCs, laptops, or video conferencing systems. Every week, every month, our engineering team works with the camera and video conferencing manufacturers' engineering teams to make sure that we're ready for the next generation of products. Our goal is to work well with updates to existing product generations. And this advantage is obviously found in our markets when our devices are often used in the corporate or university or college sectors. Users in these sectors often have several cameras and they want them to work well. Our devices reduce the tension on the user side so that every presentation is a success. One thing that's very important in video conferences, whether in educational and business settings, is equity between each person. There are people inside the meeting room. There are people outside the meeting room. Many factors come into play to ensure that everyone is confident and that they can be creative in their exchanges and discussions. Because we know that if the brain detects the other person's emotions well, a person we feel as though they have a relationship of trust in the discussion, they will be more creative, more collaborative. They'll have more fun being part of a meeting that's productive or a course that's effective. So there are challenges in the classroom, but also when you have large meeting rooms for companies. Oftentimes, people have difficulties with the equipment. It could be that the sound isn't very good, the camera isn't very good, or the configuration means that people are very small on the screen or not big enough so you can't see them very well. All of this means that we want to meet objectives. We want people to feel as though the meeting is fair. We want to make sure that we can see faces properly, that when we want to change camera, it can change instantly, not cut off the flow of conversation, because we're trying to figure out which camera works. So we want to make sure that everything works well and can be changed seamlessly. There are different technologies to achieve this. There's AI, there's frame recognition to know who's moving and who to look for on the screen. And there are sound systems that let you know which part of the room where the camera needs to be active or inactive. So we have to use these technologies to our advantage. And INOGENI's devices, whether it's our mixers or switchers, really make it easy to change cameras and make sure there's equity between each participant. Because if you can see them well, those on the outside are going to be able to get a good feel for the people inside the meeting. You've seen it in the media or on the market. There are artificial intelligence applications that allow us to do what is called auto-framing, to zoom close to the person who's talking, or to use auto-tracking to follow the person as they move while they speak. And these technologies enable us to get closer to people, whether it's Ava, Logitech, Crestron, or various major manufacturers like Jabra, etc., have successfully focused on this approach. Why is that? Because you end up with cameras that are sometimes on the presenter's side, sometimes on the audience's side. They can have several cameras on the audience side too. And if we're going to capture the emotions and the faces with good quality cameras, that's when we talk about equity. And it is achieved with our USB and HDMI mixers and switchers, such as the Cam 300, which allows for 4 cameras, the Cam 230 for 3 cameras, the SHARE2U and SHARE2U, which allows for 2 cameras, USB and HDMI. Keeping a seamlessly switching flow between cameras means everyone gets to be seen and heard, whether people are inside or outside the meeting room. They're really participating, engaged, and there's something really positive about the whole presentation. So what's important? High quality camera mixers that allow you to change cameras almost unnoticed just by pressing a button when the leader of the presentation, the presenter, decides that we're now going to go to camera number 2, camera number 3, or camera number 4. This ensures that we have equity between the people inside and with the people outside the room. Really, that's what's important, to facilitate communication between people inside and outside of the room. Optimize the technology to elevate video meeting and achieve meeting equity. The SHARE2U is really an easy-to-use mixer because it allows you to take 2 USB or HDMI camera sources and send them in a single video stream on USB and HDMI. As you can see in the diagram, there are inputs for the cameras, independent inputs for audio, LAN or RS-232 communication systems for the pads, for the various communication systems that enable remote control of the cameras, and then a USB 3 output that goes into the laptop or computer side, like as a room PC. And the advantage of this mixer is that you can mix different picture-in-picture configurations. So, camera 1, we see full screen. Camera 2, full screen. We can decide to have picture-in-picture, one image next to the other in side-by-side position, horizontal or vertical, or a version with a smaller image and a larger image. And then you decide to change it back, and it's all done quite naturally by pressing a single button. So, of course, our device includes buttons. We also have a remote device that lets you do it remotely. Or with RS-232, we can communicate directly with a Crestron system or another video conferencing system. So you can have the different buttons on the pad and choose the cameras. It really helps to achieve meeting equity and make presentations more engaging because camera changes are really easy and fast. So you can imagine there's a camera behind the audience zooming in on the presenter. There's a camera on the side of the table to pick up the audience in the background or at different parts of the meeting room. There may be a document camera focused on the table, a standard whiteboard, or a board with a camera like Hudley's Canvas or Logitech Scribe. And then these camera changes become easy with SHARE2U. Here is very simple. You can really see all the inputs and outputs on SHARE2U. Let's start with the interconnectivity side, LAN or RS-232, which enables remote control of the device on a pad on different types of tools. HDMI out, so you can push it onto a screen in the classroom or meeting room. And here we have the 2 inputs for cameras 1 and 2, so a USB input and a USB or HDMI input for flexibility in terms of camera type. Then in terms of audio, there's the input and output, and of course the power. As for the output to the computer or video conferencing system, we've got USB 3 and 2 extra USB ports to extend your device's functionality. All in all, a simple, easy-to-use device. Over the past decade or more, INOGENI's founders and engineers have worked with numerous manufacturers around the world to develop customized USB capture and video capture cards. And these partnerships are very important to us because they enable us to take the quality of our devices to the next level. When we look at the different manufacturers, whether Crestron, Poly, or Cisco Webex, or companies that have developed video conferencing software like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or Google Meet, we also have to adapt to them and make sure that our equipment works well with them. There's also the whole dimension of video conferencing equipment and systems such as Logitech, Lenovo, MaxHub, Nureva, or Q-SYS. In the next few minutes, we're going to tell you about some partnerships that go even further in terms of applications. The first is Q-SYS, a major manufacturer of video conferencing systems and processors, which has included the capabilities of the SHARE2, the CAM230, the CAM300, and the SHARE2U in their software controller. So within their software, our equipment is recognized, and all the systems for choosing camera 1, camera 2 mix, picture-in-picture, side-by-side. This means that for the administrator who is going to install a Q-SYS system in the video conference room, it's going to become quite easy to use our mixers and controllers. And all this allows Q-SYS users to benefit from good mixers, good converters, and good video switches that work seamlessly with their system because it seamlessly integrates in their control pad. The SHARE2 can bring 2 HDMI sources. The SHARE2U has 2 USB and HDMI input. The CAM230 has 2 USB and 1 HDMI input. And the CAM300 has 2 USB and 2 HDMI input. So the Q-SYS works for all these devices and makes it easy because you can see here on the screen, there's a window inside the Q-SYS system, so you can choose either on the pad or during installation what type of camera mix you want. This is what we call being Q-SYS certified. Another partner we've worked with closely for many years and that is very satisfied with our devices is the BARCO ClickShare wireless system. ClickShare is very different. Q-SYS is conferencing system, but ClickShare is a partner with a strong position in wireless devices for video conferencing. Systems that enable wireless communication between computers, televisions, and other systems. So the company's team tested our equipment and we tested their equipment. Our engineers worked together, and all INOGENI products are ClickShare compatible. We develop application blogs and diagrams like this one where you can see that there's a SHARE2U that can have several cameras connected to our toggle, allowing for 2 hosts in the background and 2 connected computers. The PC room, the desktop computer, and the laptop for BM or bring your own meeting. And then there's the ClickShare, which is connected to access and transfer information to the TV or laptop, depending on the position. And our systems work, so the ClickShare is there, but the system also works at the same time on lots of other video conference systems, such as MaxHub, Logitech, Lenovo, Teams Room, Zoom Room, Crestron. For INOGENI, interoperability is essential. And by working with the different manufacturers, we make sure that the equipment always works. So here's an example of communication between BARCO, ClickShare, CX20, CX30, or CX50, and then the toggle to make sure they're properly connected together. Here we can see that toggle PC1 is connected to ClickShare, which in turn is connected to the person's laptop. So it's as if the laptop were directly connected to the toggle, but it goes through the ClickShare, which gives all the flexibility of wireless in a conference room where the equipment is sometimes on one side of the conference table at different places in the room. And when you put it all together, that's when you see that the ecosystem works well and allows all the flexibility of space management. SHARE2U is very flexible, allowing you to work with different systems. It can all be managed directly with your own laptop or conferencing system. Sometimes there are two cameras to the left, to the right, and then to present, to see the presenter or to see the audience. As I said earlier, SHARE2U makes it easy to switch cameras so you can see different angles in the same meeting. So it's important for us to partner with all the manufacturers, whether of cameras, Wi-Fi systems, in fact, wireless systems, or video conferencing systems, to make sure that all the devices work well together and enable a presentation that's really smooth, of very high quality, and ensures equity with all the members, both inside and outside the meeting room. For the SHARE2U, let's talk about the main features. This device is really easy to use. Buttons for changing cameras, easy to see connections. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of why this device is so worthwhile and an excellent investment. One of the first things to come out of this device is its ability to deliver engaging presentations. Why is that? Because the communication flow isn't interrupted, so you can switch cameras very easily between three sources. In the background, USB or HDMI. As I said, it also allows you to set up without interrupting the communication flow. Whether you're in a classroom, a collaborative meeting, a webinar presentation, or live streaming, the person continues to speak and can switch cameras. Outputs are very simple, providing uncompressed video in USB 3 or MJPEG in USB 2.0, depending on the input on the other side, whether it's a laptop or a video conferencing system. Audio input and output can be used to mix video images. It's also possible to make mixes with the Control app, which is a software program for controlling our devices. It's also remotely controllable via LAN or RS-232, so you can connect Crestron video conferencing systems, pads, etc. to it. It's really a cost-effective and very reliable and robust solution. It can operate 24/7 for years. It's made to work in a commercial environment. It's compact. It's designed and manufactured in Canada to ensure top quality engineering and production in Canadian factories. And it's TAA compliant in addition to meeting all the other standards like CE, FC, or other certifications which are recognized worldwide. In sum, these are the most common and important applications for this device. Control systems are really practical, and that's why our equipment is recognized and used in commercial, corporate, and institutional environments with control systems. So whether it's Crestron, Extron, MaxHub, Poly, Q-SYS, etc., you name it. All kinds of control systems will use either LAN or RS-232 to be able to control the devices remotely and integrate the commands to control our devices into their system. What's important is that the interface is easy to navigate to select the right functions, and this works just as well with our mixers, our switches, our converters, and every time we have RS-232 or LAN inputs or both, it means that the systems will be able to control them remotely and integrate them easily, because our engineers work a lot with the manufacturers to make sure that all the systems are standard and usable all over the world. To optimize control needs, we also have APIs that we can make available to take integration a step further. For INOGENI, control systems are part of the company's DNA so that we can work well with the various video conferencing systems in place. In the world of video conferencing, whether it's in a company or in the classroom, at university or college, we often have long distances to cover, whether it's to run the wires to get to the camera, which is in the ceiling or at the back of the room. Sometimes you have to go to different places in the room and extenders, USB extenders, become essential. Sometimes there are also HDMI extenders that can be 20, 30 feet long. So we are talking about 10 to 15 meters. There are also SDI extenders which allow you to go almost 100 meters. Depending on the different types of cameras we have. It's a whiteboard camera. In the background, a white screen will be in USB. So we need a USB extender. So there is USB 2 and there is USB 3, which is very expensive. And we decided to tackle the USB 3 problem first by making a USB 2 that works and works with all video conferencing cameras, professional cameras, and also video conferencing systems. This is why we developed the U-Bridge. The U-Bridge allows you to connect a camera that may be far away up to 100 meters, 330 feet, to get to the other side of the room to reach the computers, a video conference system, or other systems, and that allows us to travel great distances. We see here that the communication is done face-to-face via a CAT cable. It is the type of category, basically, of RJ45, the type of wire, but which will be level 5E, 6 or 7. They can be electrically powered from either side, the camera side or the room PC side or the SHARE2U side. Then in terms of communication, the USB camera can enter the device, and then on the other side we exit to go to the computer via USB 2 or MJPEG at 1080p 30, depending on the needs. My presentation shows the configuration in a little more detail. USB 2 extenders are really important and an easy solution. And when you want to connect cameras that are remote, further in the ceiling, further in space, and systems like computers, laptops, control systems. USB 2 is a well-known technology, but what we have done is that we have integrated MJPEG into all of our equipment, converters, mixers, and switches. This allows users to maintain the high video quality in the USB 2 transmission and ensure that there is really good image stability in video conferences via the network or other systems like that. But with the U-Bridge, it allows an extension of up to 100 meters, 330 feet between USB devices and the laptop or video conferencing systems. But the devices can also be a computer mouse, keyboards, and other types of USB devices, which will connect directly with the computer but at a greater distance. A simple and effective solution in USB 2. Thank you for listening to this SHARE2U presentation, learning more about how to optimize your presentations in all kinds of applications. Want to know more? Visit INOGENI.com to find out the details in the product section, support, where all the documentation is available for you. Enjoy the simplicity and ingenuity of our devices.